Hey guys, welcome back to Guy Stuff. Today I've got another one of my favorite recipes. This is my copy of Olive Garden's Zuppa Toscana soup. Now if you haven't had it, definitely try it. I love their unlimited soup and salad lunch specials. You know, it's an awesome deal, $6-7, whatever. And they hate me when I come there because I'll blow through 6, 7, 8 bowls of their soup. It's really good, but their bowls are kind of small. And incidentally, if you don't want to make it and you love their soup, you just want to pay a little more, they sell it by the gallon. They don't tell you that, but you can call up ahead of time and they'll put together a nice container for you. It's like 25, 26 bucks last time I checked, but we're going to make it for about half the cost. Now, it's not exactly the same. I don't work there, so, you know, it's really close though, and it's awesome on its own. It's really super easy to make. It's going to take us like 10 minutes of prep. And it's just going to sit here and cook. We're going to use a big bunch of kale, and this is going to make a pretty good batch here. Probably about 1.5 gallons, 2 gallons, somewhere right around there. So you can cut this all evenly in half if you're just cooking for, you know, yourself or a couple people. We've got a big bunch of kale here. Really a beautiful vegetable. I'm not a big veggie guy, but this stuff is just awesome to cook with. It has a nice, crisp, clean flavor. It's cheap. This whole bundle is $2. You know, that's less than celery. Can't beat that. Got 4 big baking potatoes. I like the russets. I've got a little bag of bacon. These aren't bacon bits. You have to use real bacon. Now, if you don't want to buy it like this was like $1.25. I didn't feel like buying a bacon package and, you know, spending $4 or $5 and then cooking it all just to chop up, you know, 4 slices or so. So you can find this in the salad aisle, wherever the dressings are, wherever bacon bits are. You'll see some real bacon. And for this, we're going to use a good 4 tablespoons or so. So I'm going to dump this whole little package in. That's to taste. And if you do it yourself, if you make the bacon yourself, chop it up real fine. This isn't about having big bits of bacon in the soup. It's more for the flavor. And we're going to use 32 ounces of chicken broth, not stock, chicken broth. Not a real strong flavor. This isn't a chicken soup. This is just for part of our base. We're going to put a lot of water in it too. The soup itself is a creamy, very slightly hot, spicy sausage. That's the word. Sausage and potato soup. But it's just melt in your mouth. We're going to cook the potatoes real well into fairly good sized, bite-sized chunks, but they're going to be really soft. Got 2 big onions and a little bit of garlic. Not much. We're going to use about 2 cloves worth, maybe 3, so, you know, maybe a tablespoon worth if you buy it like this pre-minced, which is just fine. This stuff is awesome, really cheap, especially at Sam's Club. And 2 pounds of mild Italian sausage. You can put hot or other flavored in there, but it is going to greatly affect the taste of the soup. I don't recommend using anything but mild because we just want the sausage flavor itself. And we're going to use just a little bit of red pepper, not much at all, and a couple cups of heavy cream, and then some water, and of course salt and pepper to taste. This isn't a heavy seasoned soup either. This is something you want to do in the bowl. So I'm just going to be doing a little bit of salt and just a pinch of pepper. It's not a very peppery, spicy soup whatsoever. The flavors of the cream and the sausage really come out, and they just have a little bit of the heat from the pepper, but that's all I'm going to put in there. So first thing I have to do is chop up the kale. Excuse me. I'm going to be using 4 cups worth, so that's probably going to be pretty much all of this. All you do is cut up and break off the leafy parts. It's like lettuce. You don't use the stems. So, you know, it looks big, but there's a lot of stem in there. So I'm going to chop all this up, and you want it pretty coarse. You want the kale to be bite size. It's about like that, about 1/4. You can go a little larger if you like it, but don't finely chop them up. Don't dice them or mince them or anything like that. And the potatoes, all we're going to do is, you can skin them if you want to. I'm not going to. I like a little bit of the potato peel. I might just chop off any rough sections, but I'm going to slice it in half, however the thickest way is. I'm going to slice it in half, and then just chop those into fairly thin slices. I want the potatoes to really melt in the mouth. I don't want it chunky or anything, but they need to hold together. This is not a a fine chowder or anything where the potatoes kind of blend in with the soup. You want big slices in here. So, you know, I'll probably go maybe a 1/4 inch at the most. And then we'll get cooking. Alright, see you in a bit. Okay, I have done the bulk of the work, which is simply preparing the veggies. I've got the kale, about 4 cups worth. I find it easiest, it depends on how big the stalks are, to just kind of tear them off into, you know, chunks. This is about the biggest you want. And then the little ones, you just pull off the fluffy part. And that's it. I actually used about half that big bunch. This is how much I got out of it. So I've got enough for a good another batch of this soup. For $2, you can't beat it. This really does add a lot to the flavor of the soup. And texture-wise, I mean, it's like parsley. It just melts in your mouth. So if you're scared of veggies like I am, don't be scared of this one. And then the onion, this is about 1½ onions. Turns out half of the one I had there was a little rotten inside. So just dice it up normally. You don't have to go too fine. This we're going to saute a little bit, so it's going to break down. And these will get nice and small. This is not about chunks of onion in the soup. This is all for flavor. So that's all you need to do with the onion. And the potatoes, like I said, you just wash them off real good. If you want to leave the skins on like this, it adds really nice texture and flavor to it. You know, it's not a big earthiness or anything, so it's not too much. These are the biggest chunks you get out of it. You just slice a potato in half, set it down, and slice it. So you get these little chunks. You know, these little guys here, these will almost disappear. They just melt in your mouth. And then these big guys, they'll shrink down too because there's a lot of water in here. And these will just be super tender when you bite into them. It is a potato and sausage soup, so you do want it to be about the potatoes. And you can use reds if you really want to, but I like these baking potatoes. They have the slightly firmer texture. The reds, they're awesome for like side dishes or something, but in soups they can really turn to mush. Good flavor, but you need the texture. You need these to be actual substance in the soup. So that's all you have to do here. And it took me a little longer than usual because I am like out of room in this freaking kitchen. Believe it or not, I've got this stove and I got my coffee maker there, my toaster there, you know, that's it. I got about 1.5 feet on either side of the stove. And then pretty much the same on the other side. I got the sink and just one set of cabinets on each side, and that's it. I love this house except for the kitchen. I would love to gut this thing, but there's no room. So anyway, the first thing we have to do now is fry up our sausage. We're just going to brown this and drain it and then set the sausage aside and start the next part in the pot. So let's go ahead and kick our heat on, get our sausage going here. Like I said, you can experiment. Feel free to use other types of sausage. But if you want the traditional, normal taste of this soup and you want the natural flavors to come out, wow, I didn't realize this was frozen. That's weird. It was in the normal sausage section, you know, with the meats. Why in the heck is that frozen solid? Alright, anyway, let that thaw out while it cooks, I guess. You can use other flavors, but this mild, which is just, you know, plain, this is what really gives the real flavor of the soup. One other variation that I do actually like, you can omit the red peppers and use hot breakfast sausage, like the Bob Evans. You know, it comes in the roll. Get the hot sausage from Bob Evans. And that's pretty darn close to using normal, regular sausage and adding pepper. I like this a little bit better. It's a little different of a taste because they add other spices in with those flavored sausage rolls, but it's a really nice flavor. This tends to be, doing it this way, a little milder because that hot sausage is kind of hot. So my wife, it's too hot for her, so yeah, I'm going to give her some of this, of course. So I'm doing it kind of mild for her. Oh, is that a wrapper on the bottom? Yes, it is. Durr. That would help. Alright. Now we're going to get our sausage browned up, drain it, take it out of this pot and set it aside. Be back in a bit. Sausage is nice and cooked. You want it in small chunks. You don't have to pulverize it like ground beef or anything like that, but you want it in nice little tiny chunks of sausage. Now you don't want to crisp it, you don't want to brown it like a breakfast sausage. Just get it fully cooked. If your sausage is especially fatty, completely drain it. Or if you've cooked your bacon, completely drain it. You don't want any more than, at the very most, half a teaspoon of grease in the soup. A little bit's fine, but it does not blend with the rest of it. So we're just going to take this off the heat now and set it aside. Alright, now we're going to do our onions and our liquids. I drained out the sausage. Got that just sitting in a bowl here. That's just going to chill. We're going to cook these onions down just for a few minutes. We just want to sweat them. Just a little bit of the sausage fat left in the bottom here. I poured out the majority, and we're just going to saute these onions for a few minutes. What we're looking to do is soften them up. Warm them up, get some of the water out. They're going to do the majority of the cooking as everything simmers. We're going to give it a head start. Now, like I said, you want to drain your fats out because it doesn't really go with the soup that well. And make sure if you accidentally let some of the sausage or bacon burn on the bottom, that you scrape that off real well before you do this step. If you just take a little care and give it some stirs while you're cooking, you don't have to worry about it. I'm doing this over about a medium heat. Doesn't take long. I already start to smell them. Smells good. Don't worry about it if you see big chunks in here. It doesn't take too much away from it. Alright, that's looking pretty good. Starting to get soft. You can feel it as you stir them around. They feel like they're wet instead of solid. Alright, now we're going to put in 8 cups of water. I got 3 here. I'm going to kick the heat up to high here, bring this to a boil, get some more water. And we're going to put in our chicken broth, all 32 ounces. If I can grab this without fingernails. There we go. And our garlic. I'm going to do about 4 cloves worth, good couple big teaspoons of this minced stuff here. This is somewhat to taste. I like garlic. If you're not a huge fan, just put a little dollop in. You don't really taste it. It's very subtle. This has a lot of layers of flavor, but it's not a big bam in your face kind of garlic dish or anything like that. And then goes our bacon. Like I said before, if you're doing your own bacon, dice it up, mince it up, get it real fine. You want the bacon to kind of disappear in the soup. Good 4 strips worth or so. I'm going to bring this up to a boil. Should just take a few minutes here. Scrape the bottom, make sure I don't leave any onions sticking. Yeah, I guess I don't have to wait. I'm going to go ahead and put the potatoes in now. Alright, we're going to bring this up to a boil, and then we're going to simmer it for about a half hour. Break apart the chunks. They'll come apart easier as they start to cook. And we'll be back. Our potatoes should be done. Smells really good. Smells like a sweet potato soup. Check them to be sure. They should be get a nice thick one, and they should be nice and tender to bite into. There we go. That's perfect. You want it to hold together, but split very easily. That's perfect. Alright, now crank your heat way down to a simmer. I already did it. We're going to put in a teaspoon, maybe 2 of the hot crushed shred peppers. Remember, not much, just for a little flavor. Of course, if you want it hot, completely changes the soup, but you can put more in. And just a couple teaspoons of salt. This is another one of these dishes where I like to wait until it's in the bowl. Everyone can season it themselves, so I'm going real light. Just a little bit, because you want to get some salt into the potatoes at this point. Okay. Now in goes our kale. Had an escapee under the floor. And I know it looks like a lot, but it's not. It'll cook down a little bit too. Mix it in. And in goes the sausage. Just a few turns of pepper. The sausage already has some good seasoning in it, so you don't need much. And our pint of cream. Okay. All we have to do is stir this together. Mix it up real well, and then let it simmer. Just sit here. Get everything up to temp, get the flavors melded together for a good 20-30 minutes. Real low heat. We're done cooking. We're just warming and making it all nice and yummy at this point. So kick the heat way down. No boiling. Don't want anything reducing. Alright, there we go. It smells good. Alright. Be back in another 30 minutes. Half an hour's up and our soup should be ready. Nice. It'll thicken up a little bit as it cools, not much. But it is ready to go. Man, that smells good. Got our potatoes, our kale. Onions disappeared. Beautiful consistency. It's not a thick soup. It is a true soup, not a chowder or anything like that. Alright, nothing left to do but serve it up. Beautiful. I like to let it cool a little bit. It's really hot right now. That is absolutely perfect. Alright, so you can see it makes a ton of soup. All of this was under 20 bucks. So you really can't complain there. And like I said, if you don't have a big family or don't need it, for a week, I'm probably the only one here that's going to be eating this. And I got a week's worth of meals here. I'm fine with that. I love leftovers. And this is really good reheated too. The flavors get a little bit smoother together, especially the cream. But, if I'm going to cook, I'm going to cook. So I don't want to be cooking every day or even every other day. I don't mind doing a big thing once a week. My wife, she eats out, so she doesn't cook. Her mom taught her how to dial for pizza. That's about it. Anyway, yeah, really cheap. Like I said, if you don't want to cook this, if you want the real thing, you can get it relatively inexpensively. Last time I checked, it was about 25 bucks a gallon from Olive Garden, so not this cheap. You don't get this much, and it's more. But, it's cheaper than Campbell's or Progresso or any kind of canned soup. If you were to make a gallon worth of that stuff, you're pushing 40 bucks. It's ridiculous. Those cans are 4 or 5 bucks now. So, yeah, that's it. That's my Zuppa Toscana soup. Whew, still too hot for me to taste, but I know it's good. I love this stuff. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.